Are you ready, Henry? We're about to podcast our brains out, you know what I'm saying, buddy? We're going to podcast like it's 1995. Alright, let's do it. Hello, Braintrust. It is Ben Gleib here. What a last week on Earth this has been. I mean, they packed it in this week. Holy potato salad. 1 week ago, when we last met via your ears and via my mouth and microphone, we had 142 candidates left in the race. I'm kidding. Actually, technically it's true. But of the mainstream major candidates, there was a bunch left. There was still Klobuchar, Buttigieg, Warren, Bloomberg, and Sanders and Biden. And now there's just Sanders and Biden after 1 week. That is unbelievable. That fast. It's all done. Super Tuesday was in the middle. That's pretty much what did it. But even leading up to Super Tuesday, these cats was dropping like flies. They were fly cats. And they was dropping so quick. It's crazy. I mean, Buttigieg drops out because he does not do well in South Carolina. Got like negative percentages of the black vote. I think like 2%, but that's basically the same. Not enough to become president of the United States, which includes black people. Klobuchar drops out. Next day, they both instantly endorse Biden. Well, Pete waited till Klobuchar did, then he did as well. Then Beto O'Rourke hops on. These three immediate endorsements prove how much these other three candidates, Beto and Buttigieg and Klobuchar, never have been incredibly progressive and were always establishment politicians. Straight up. That's the proof you need. Because they might have claimed to be wanting to change things in a big way, but that is not the candidacy that Biden is, and they immediately endorsed him. And while I'll say it for the millionth time, it should always be said, is an amazing American who has dedicated himself to our country, he has not had the sharp campaign that you would expect someone to instantly endorse just based on their ability to win, to beat Trump, or based on their ability to lead in an incredibly inspiring way. His campaign has not been inspiring. People like Joe. He's done a lot of great things. The fact that gay marriage is legal now is largely thanks to Joe Biden. He was part of the administration that got a lot of great stuff done. But come on now, we all know the truth. Vice presidents don't do shit. We all know it. Joe Biden helped gay marriage happen because literally on an interview on like the Today Show or something, without permission from Barack Obama, he literally just went ahead of the administration's stated current position, which was at the time against gay marriage being legal, and said it's about time already. And that shows like Will and Grace have helped normalize it. So that was huge for American history and for gay history, which is one and the same because gay people are a huge part of this country, a huge part of the fabric of this country. They bring all the fabrics together in a beautiful rainbow. And that's amazing. But that's because of a good interview you did once. You did once. Whenever I make fun of Biden for not perfectly finishing sentences, I always seem to stumble on that exact same sentence. When I spoke in Iowa with the AFL-CIO, I was like, literally you can watch the speech, and I'm very proud of the speech. It was one of the most tense circumstances in the world, and they had to speak an hour earlier than expected. The speech wasn't printed. It was a fiasco. I think I've told the story. And still it came off great. But literally I'm like, Biden can't finish a sentence lately, and also, I mean, it was not at all that bad. But I definitely messed up something in that next sentence. So, I'm not trying to over-criticize. And yes, when I found out that Biden had a speech problem that he sometimes occasionally still struggles with, of course, never make fun of somebody if it's a speech problem getting in the way of their communicating the thoughts that they are clearly having. I had a speech problem. Nobody can empathize with that more than me. But it's not just that. He doesn't remember the names of the state he's in or the name of people he's talking to. The other, just during his Super Tuesday win speech, thought his wife was his sister. So this is my sister, and she's like, nope, I'm your wife. He's like, oh, right. I mean, they were in his periphery, slightly behind, and maybe couldn't see. He's like, oh, they switched on me, but still, kind of maybe have a sense of where your wife is. You know what I mean? maybe just have a decent concept of like, oh yeah, my wife's nearby to the right. If you want to lead the country and planet into the future against the greatest evil we've ever seen. I'm just saying now's the time to be soup sharp. You know what I mean? Super sharp. We need the sharpest dude in the world. And the other guy, who has a great vision, absolutely Bernie Sanders, and has been fighting for the same vision for a very long time, which is so admirable, and he's incredibly sharp. Literally our only other option now that's left had a pretty major heart attack very recently and reversed on, he always said he would release his medical records. Now he's like, nah, not Paul's heart attack. I'm keeping them motherfuckers quiet. And you wonder why? It's because there's some shady shit in there where he's not super healthy. If he was like, doctor's like perfect bill of health after the surgery was complete, he said you have the arteries of a 25-year-old man. 2% of people have arteries better than this. And they're 25 and under. But he's clearly keeping that away, so that's a little shady. Still, I believe in Bernie's passion to change these things hugely, but he prides himself on not working well with people, not compromising. And you're going to be president, you got to work well with people and compromise. You got to do both, boo. You got to do both damn things. And so, our choices are not incredible that are left now, which is why the day before Super Tuesday, and I waited too long, I guess, I endorsed Elizabeth Warren. And she got the Gleib political bump and folded her campaign 2 days later. At least she outlasted Bloomberg, who folded the day after Super Tuesday, and then she folded on Thursday. We call it Saddened Thursdays. Joe Biden, by the way, called Super Tuesday Super Thursday this week. So he had his own version of altering the name of Super Tuesday. His was by accident. Mine was on purpose right now. But I'm not to say I'm gaffe-free. I'm not to say I'm gaffe-free. See, it just happened again. The second I talk shit about Biden making gaffes, I make gaffes. Maybe I need to slow down on saying that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just more the stutter, and it's karma being like, bro, you have the stutter. Like, what you talking about, son? You know what I mean? I think you do. And so, shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Elizabeth Warren's out. She gave a short press conference outside of her home with her husband. First time I've seen him. Old dude. Super old. She looks a lot younger than he did. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess they're just old and she just looks great. But that's how that goes currently. So, in this press conference, they're like, are you going to endorse Bernie? Because I endorsed Elizabeth Warren. You guys missed it. I would have announced on the podcast, obviously. But I only decided the day before Super Tuesday, and then her campaign was done 48 hours later, and the podcast hadn't come out yet. I hadn't recorded this, what you're listening to right now, yet. And so I was like, I endorsed Elizabeth Warren because I believe she is the strongest voice to bring the country together and to win over Trump and to hammer him hard. And the way you saw her disintegrate Bloomberg in just the first 3 minutes of the debate a week and a half ago now, 2 weeks ago almost, she showed us that she can eviscerate Trump in aggressive, creative, prepared, sharp, focused, diligent ways. And that's the whole argument of my campaign, is that would shrink Trump in the eyes of his supporters. He wouldn't have a response. He would look foolish and weak. And that's exactly what Trump supporters do not like to see. They do not ever want to see their dude weak and not seeming like some demigod. Demigod and demagogue. He's both to them. They don't really know what demagogue means, but he's a god of some sort to them. He's also a demagogue because he's spreading hate throughout the world. Side note, funsy little sidesy notes. He's got authoritarian tendencies and is also racist and misogynist, and that's not a good person you want to be in charge of stuff. Like, how come there's never like a really nice dictator that ascends to power? A guy that's like, I'm taking power for myself, I'm not going to follow your constitution, but ice cream parties for everybody, and we're getting rid of paying for shit. Actually, it's really Bernie. Bernie's like, we're going to take everybody's stuff away, but we're going to distribute it in a much better way to everybody, and everybody will be happy, and super rich people will just be a little bit less rich. They'll still be great. They can still have their homes and the yachts, which is the same shit I was saying on my campaign trail too. And then also people will have help with essential services that they truly need in their lives. And so that's a win-win for everybody. And that's why both Warren and Sanders' policies are completely aligned with me and with any reasonable, rational, nice, kind human being who cares about others. Which is why, obviously, some asked me if Warren drops out, are you going to endorse Biden or Bernie? Are you kidding me? Of course, Bernie. This is the endorsement right now. At least this one comes on the podcast. Of course I endorse Bernie Sanders now. I was torn between Bernie and Warren for a very long time. And I just chose Warren for the reasons I just mentioned, plus the fact that this cycle is much more vocal about the Anti-Corruption Act needed to get the money out of our politics. Bernie talks less about the money out of our politics these days and just talks about the billionaire class and using the tax code to make sure we all get Medicare and also clearing all student debt and making colleges, four-year public colleges and universities free for anybody who wants it, and lots of stuff. And now unveiled a free universal pre-K childcare plan. That's all great. That's all very expensive. His plans aren't super detailed. How he's going to get it done. Doesn't have the world's best track record of getting shit done when he's in Congress. So he's been in the Senate now for a long time. The Senate and the House, which make up Congress, combined now for many decades, has 3 pieces of legislation that he was the main author on, only passed. 3. And 2, literally were about renaming post offices or some shit. That ain't even a joke. It was post office naming related bills. So I think you want to overhaul the entire economy, and the economy that sets the tone for the world economy. But I believe he can do it better than most. But a track record of actually getting along with people, his own party's even actively now trying to stop him because instantly the establishment all coalesced together. It became this Voltron of Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Biden, Bloomberg. All of them are like, we want, to help stuff out for some people, but don't take away our money and don't make too much change. Don't get the money out of politics. None of them talk about those very, 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 very important things. Should I say very some more? Sure. Very. So clearly there's an enormous ideological gulf between them and Bernie Sanders and what I thought and still believe is Elizabeth Warren. But Warren going out there and not endorsing Bernie instantly when the others endorsed Biden instantly is immediately, every hour that passes now, calling into question her beliefs in those ideals. And it's making you wonder, does she actually believe in that? Or was this something she constructed so that she can get power? If she's trying to see who will offer her a better deal to be in their administration, Biden or Bernie, will one of you promise me vice president? Well, if so, then I'll go with you. That's shady, because it's not about you. It's about helping the country as fast as possible and not losing. And if you truly believe in the ideological, big structural change that Warren kept arguing for and saying was desperately needed in our country, and she's right with that rhetoric, with those words. If she doesn't follow through on that, well then, oops, she did it again. Which is flip-flopping on what you say you truly believe in. I gave you a pass on reversing on super PAC money in the last week of your campaign because everybody else was getting huge sums coming into their bankrolls, and Bernie had Our Revolution, which allows millions and millions of dollars to come in without even listing who the donors are. I was okay with you on that, even though on your website, the same day that you announced that you were reversing on that, it still said on your website, Warren is proud to reject the help and assistance of any super PAC and will not do so. So at least take that down from the site, you know what I'm saying? But I gave you a pass on that. If you don't immediately endorse Bernie, however, Senator Warren, I'm giving you another 36 hours. You lose major credibility with all of us who supported you. This is a guy who endorsed you less than a week ago. Literally 3 days ago I endorsed you saying this. Please don't let us down if you truly want change in this country. Because I also believe now, as a second choice, Bernie is far better to beat Trump than Biden. Just because Trump, while not an eloquent or a detailed or a precise speaker. He is a brilliant communicator. You all know that. We've talked about it a million times. The guy gets millions to follow him blindly. Lies, tears up the Constitution, is racist, says horrible things, doesn't know facts, draws Sharpie circles on hurricanes on the map to alter them for his own desire, throws paper towels at people, literally is a cold, unfeeling, careless person who hate tweets from the bathroom every night as he falls asleep, passed out with Big Mac wrappers on his lonely bed when his beautiful wife is sleeping in a different bedroom. You're the president and you still can't get laid by your wife? Dude, that is so lame. That is so lame. That's the guy. So if you think in the face of all those facts, he can still, with his words, convince his followers to follow him blindly like he's some god or demigod, even though he's really a demagogue, then that guy's the most brilliant speaker of all time. Move aside Barack Obama and Martin Luther King Jr. and Hitler. As far as effective communicators, all right, Hitler still wins. As far as being a real dick that gets people to do the most fucked up thing imaginable just because you give good speeches. That guy is very forceful. I believe what he says. We're going to create a space force, and they do it. We're going to build a wall. Completely ineffective, okay? Totally ineffective. We're going to build it. Oh, it doesn't work, and studies show it. People come through tunnels under it and can obviously climb over it, and you even acknowledge that in a speech when you're like, the only way they can get over my wall is going to be so tall. The only way they can get over is like with a ladder. Because like, yeah, boo, we got ladders still. So if that guy can convince people to follow him blindly, he's a brilliantly sharp communicator. He wins every verbal interaction. That's what determines if you're good at communicating or not, if you get your message across in a more effective way than the other person. And Biden is the worst communicator this cycle. And to that degree, you even have to take into account a little bit of the stutter. I'm saying this as a former stutterer who once in a blue gets still caught myself. If I'm getting caught to a degree that worries you that I'm not going to win a debate for the future of the planet, take that into account in your vote a little bit. Don't discriminate against somebody with a disability like that. Again, I suffered it my whole life from age 3 to 22. But if you're not remembering places and you're cutting yourself off when you have time left and you're misremembering states and who your wife is, I'm just saying maybe you're not the sharpest guy to come out against this verbal warrior. And Bernie, because Warren now dropped out, because they dropped like flies. I said it, but I'm stunned by it. In the course of one little old week here on Earth, Bernie's our only hope. So Warren, if she truly believes these things, has to get behind him and endorse him ASAP. You got now 35 hours left only. And if you do, then we got some chance to take this thing in the remaining contests and Bernie to win the delegates needed and for us to come to our senses. And if it doesn't happen and Bernie loses and Biden gets the nomination, he's still a very good man, a moral man. The attacks on him are largely and mostly total bullshit. They're not of substance as far as anything about his character. I believe the man has wonderful character. And I would be very proud to have him as my president. And I will coalesce and try to do the same for others to coalesce us around him to win the nomination, because either of them is far, 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 far better, did I say far enough this time, than the evil orange monster toupee fiasco, Napoleon Bone Spurs, Coward the Duck, Putin's side bitch. That is Donald Trump. So it's not a choice. If you care about people, I'm changing my endorsement. Tulsi Gabbard. I'm kidding. She's still in, though. It's pretty mind-boggling. Sanders also has got to start upping the celebrity endorsements. Yes, Sarah Silverman did just do an event with him this week, as did Public Enemy. Awesome. Kai Aarons, my dear friend I used to be in a rap group with, made a dope poster for him. But all I know is I was listening to NPR on the way home, and they were legit like, Biden has sweeped up a bunch of endorsements since his resurgence back from the dead. I mean, his campaign was dead. And all of a sudden, winning all these states, he won, I believe, 10 states on Super Tuesday, and Bernie won just 4, including the biggest one, though, California, by a lot, almost every county. But Biden got Texas, second biggest delegate-rich prize on Super Tuesday. They're like, Biden got Klobuchar and Beto O'Rourke and Buttigieg and Bloomberg. And the radio's like, and Bernie Sanders has an event coming up with the support he's doing alongside of Danny Glover. I mean, cool. But like Mel Gibson's sidekick in Lethal Weapon movies from several decades ago isn't exactly the same as like every leading political figure in the country on the Democratic side endorsing you. It just ain't exactly. I love the Lethal Weapon films, don't get me wrong. But it's just like not exactly the same. Biden's back though. Exploded. Biggest explosion ever happened this week. Not just Biden. An actual explosion out in the galaxies. Far, far away. Hundreds of millions of years ago. A super massive black hole. Scientific American reports. A supermassive black hole in a far-off galaxy blew out gas into intergalactic space. Intergalactic planetary. But this flare-up was about 5 times as powerful as the previous record holder. The one that just occurred just this last week on Earth. 5 times more powerful than the hundreds of millions of years ago supermassive black hole explosion. March 1, they reported this in the Astrophysical Journal. The energy from this one explosion was roughly 100 billion times as much as the sun is expected to emit in its entire lifetime, and still not enough to give Michael Bloomberg charisma. I'm dropping out. Didn't look like it bothered him. I spent $500 million. It didn't work. I'm now endorsing Biden. I'm happy to use another $500 million, maybe $1 billion, to try to bring him to the victory. Mike will get it done. And when I say that, I mean every few things I promise I'll get done. But I will spend an enormous amount of money on them like it ain't shit. I mean, he couldn't be more blasé about having spent $500 million. And Warren, popping back for 1 second to her, this stream of consciousness, followed back, interrupting the science story for a quick moment, because another point I have to make about Warren, in her little press conference in front of her house with her very old husband, said, and I left. It took me a while to decide because of the pinky promises I made with so many young girls, little 4 and 5-year-old girls on this campaign trail, promising them that there will be a woman president. And now they're going to have to wait longer. I get it. That's beautiful. They were inspired. It's a complete travesty, crying shame. Our country has never had a woman president. It is so insanely sexist and ridiculous. But you don't not drop out because of pinky promises to little girls when the planet's crumbling. We're not doing anything about it fast enough. And an orange monster bordering on becoming dictator dude is eroding the planet, and you already know you have no path. I know she repeated it. She's like, the pinky promises meant a lot to me. Cool. But more should be the country those young girls will be growing up in, because they'll never be able to be president themselves if there's no country. Does that make sense? Or no? So this enormous explosion emitted energy 100 billion times as much as the sun is expected to emit its entire lifetime. This makes it not only the most energetic known eruption from a supermassive black hole, it's also the most powerful eruption of any kind in the universe. They're not uncommon, these eruptions. Okay, and they happen because of a lot of pent-up energy in encircling disks of hot gas that get caught up in these black holes. Because they ain't got nowhere to go, they're in a black hole. It's very dark and lonely in there. They got no place to go, they got nothing to do. But this one was thousands of times more powerful than the average one that you see. Hey, boo-boo. Sometimes black hole explosions are thousands of times more powerful than the average one. But Yogi. You know, it's your typical episode of Yogi Bear, if the scripts were completely different. This explosion was at the center of the Ophiuchus cluster, a gathering of galaxies near 400 million light years from Earth. Oh, is that all? Why they gotta make all... They want more people to be interested in science and not call science people nerds. Why does every word have to be literally impossible to pronounce? They throw in 8 extra syllables and letters together that don't come together in a cluster, ironically. We're supposed to ever say, like, I'm very good at reading specific letters and enunciating things, and still, Ophiuchus is very difficult to say in any sort of flow. Why keeping us out? In 2016, researchers noticed the edge of a cavity in the cluster's hot X-ray emitting gas, about 400,000 light years from the central galaxy. The excavated region appears to be over 1 million light years across. 1 million light years in distance was cleared out by this explosion. Still not big enough for Donald Trump's post-presidency home. We got to send him up as the first guy in the Space Force. We got to. Let him go find Mars or some shit. Let him go eat pizza on Mars. The peace agreement with the Taliban started during this last week on Earth, also. Talk about big news week. And then also crumbled and is sort of falling apart, maybe, during the same week. The Taliban attacked an Afghan army checkpoint. Now, our peace agreement is the U.S. government peace agreement with the Taliban, not the Afghan government. They have to make their own agreement. But we are there working in cahoots with the Afghan government, protecting the Afghan government, and trying to defeat the Taliban for all of these years, since 2003, when the war started. 2002. So it's been 18 years, this war. Longer than that, really. A little bit longer than 18 years, I believe. And so we got to get it done. We got to get our troops home, obviously. Reports came out, we talked about it on this podcast a couple months ago. We don't even know, I think it was on the year-end decade wrap-up, we don't even know if we are any better off than we were, which is the most insane concept in the world. If we're just at even after thousands of American lives, thousands of innocent lives over there, trillions of dollars in national treasure spent and wasted, and we're not even sure if we got net anything from that. What is this, a Michael Bloomberg campaign? Was the Afghanistan war sponsored by Michael Bloomberg? Tell me the truth. I just want to know. Well, I didn't know it wouldn't work out this way, and I had the money. That's more charisma than he has. Well, I didn't know it was going to work out that way, and I had the money. That's more accurate. I'm sorry for giving him so much charisma. It was not intended. It was not my goal. But they attacked an Afghan army checkpoint, the Taliban did. So we hit them with airstrikes right back. Sounds like a rough start to this 1-week peace agreement that is now almost a week old. Sounds like it's going swimmingly on account of the attacks both ways. But testifying in front of Congress this week, our top general said that they have scaled back most of their provocations towards us. They're not doing most of the things. He read this ridiculous list. Like, they're not doing roadside bombings, they're not doing random surprise attacks, killings, drone attacks. Fine. But they ain't being sweethearts, you know. This report on the U.S. Taliban peace agreement brought to you by carrot juice. Carrot juice. Not every drink you have has to be so damn sweet, you pansy. Carrot juice. It tastes exactly like blended up carrots. And sometimes, don't you want that? I know I do. Coronavirus. Spreading everywhere. Experts are saying it will become a global pandemic. Oh, is that all? Later in the podcast, when I have our guest Tone Bell on, we will definitely dive into the coronavirus and talk at some length, about how much we do or do not care about it. Amazing interview, conversation, chill hang session with my dear, dear friend Tone Bell, the star of many network shows, the star recently of Fam on CBS. He has a new ABC show and some big movies coming out, one where he plays Richard Pryor, one where he co-stars in the biopic of Billie Holiday, a blown-up actor, but also a hilarious stand-up comedian who has a Showtime special right now called Can't Cancel This. Because they can't. You'll love the conversation. We talk about acting, we talk about sitcom acting versus single camera acting, about stillness. And we cover a bunch of the stories of what happened on planet Earth. And there were some very interesting things beyond even what we have so far covered just with me. It gets bonkers, Braintrust. Trust me on this. But the government's trying to stop the spread of this coronavirus. I've been traveling. We say later in the podcast that I'm not too freaked out about it. True. But it's getting me a little bit. Carmel and I did go to the market last night on the way back from Pilates class. So we ain't like so freaked out we're not using shared Pilates equipment. But at the same time, we did spray it down before and after several times. Sanitize the hands in and out. And then stop at the market to buy emergency food supplies in case you go down. So it's getting me a little. So the government's trying to protect us, and the Trump administration said, we're taking it very seriously. I'm putting Mike Pence in charge. He doesn't know anything about this disease because he's never touched anyone. And we're going to ask for $2 billion in emergency supplies. He's literally like Dr. Evil. $2 billion. And they're like, Congress literally said, we need $8.3 billion to properly handle this. And they're like, oh, we didn't know. We've never cared about people before or had any opinions of whether they die or not. So that's why we were a little off on the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand? Even my dog Henry doesn't understand. He just shook his head so aggressively because he doesn't get the Trump administration's lack of interest and disdain, really, for humanity. But luckily, some minds in the House are a little bit less broken than that. And the House, at least now, has passed $8.3 billion emergency spending measure. Hopefully the Senate confirms this and Trump signs it ASAP. Just to break down for you, Mr. President, what you need the $8.3 billion for. $3 billion of it will be for vaccines and treatment research. $2.2 billion for public health, prevention, and response. I don't know why you want to prevent public health, but fine. $1 billion for medical supplies like masks and protective gowns. And $300 million to try to help low-income people afford stuff like the vaccine that might hopefully be coming out in 6 to 12 months, and masks and protective gowns. 6 to 12 months, Gleib, is that what you said? Yes, this might be a ride. This might be a while. We got a bunch of rice at the market. Got a bunch of rice and some macaroons that didn't even have an expiration date on them, so that might have been just a foresight, but I'm just going to assume they're good forever. Isn't that right, Henry Horse? We still haven't gotten dog food for the emergency supplies, but I promise you that's on the agenda this week. Don't worry. Don't worry, my great pupitre. Mi perro. Perro means dog, but it also means butt. Like but another thing in Spanish, so that's kind of weird. I believe it's spelled differently, but who knows for sure. I don't mean to call you a butt, Henry. You just ran away from me. Okay. Your call, boo. Your call. So hopefully we get a vaccine soon. Hopefully the coronavirus doesn't spread over the entire planet much worse than it is. It will get worse, but not hopefully that much worse. Because the stock market's also been tumbling to a crazy degree. And that's not great when the stock market tumbles on account of us wanting our money to still be around. And having an economy that doesn't go into free fall. Because that's like not so it's fun when that happens. You know, I don't love when the economy free falls. You know what I mean? I don't love when the economy goes, yeah, I'm free falling. Well, good for you. It's a terrible cover of Tom Petty. But also, you're an economy. So maybe chill out with that. Also this week, a rare rebuke from the Supreme Court. Chief Justice John Roberts slams down on Chuck Schumer for releasing the whirlwind. Sorry, that was actually Chuck Schumer. See the CH of Chuck and then the SCH of Schumer. It's confusing to say together. Because it could be, I know it's Chuck Schumer, but it could be Shuck Schumer just as easily. So, you can't blame me for that. In a speech outside of the abortion case, the Supreme Court for some reason agreed to see, again now, a big case that hopefully they uphold a woman's right to choose. Let's pray. Because they already found that it's unconstitutional to insist in another state, they saw the case like 3 years ago, and found that it's unconstitutional to make a woman only get an abortion within 3 miles of a hospital. Said that you cannot link those two. There's no added health benefit proven, and so you cannot do it. Now they're hearing it from a different state, the same case, almost like they're wanting to overturn. So understandably, Schumer and anybody who cares about a woman being able to have autonomy over her own body and make her own decisions about her own babies and her own uterus, very passionate, reasonable thing to be fired up about. Talking to a crowd outside of the Supreme Court, said, you have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. New York Senator Chuck Schumer said of Trump appointees to the bench, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh a ding-dong. Brett, I love beer. Kavanaugh, I love beer. And so he didn't say it that charismatically either. He's also a kind of a phlegmatic New York Jew. I can say it as a Jew. He's probably said more like, you release the whirlwind and you will pay the price, with his glasses as far down his nose as humanly possible, like Father Time or Mrs. Claus. Okay. But he suggested that they are looking to overturn abortion rights in this country and said that they won't know what hit them. You won't know what hit you if they vote to uphold abortion restrictions. The full quote, he says, I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you've released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price, Schumer said. And Roberts, very unusual for them to publicly rebuke anybody, in a written response to Schumer, said, statements of this sort from the highest levels of government are not only inappropriate, they are dangerous. She dangerous. He did not sing in the written document. Quote continues, all members of the court will continue to do their job without fear or favor from whatever quarter. Of course, Schumer claims and defends himself that those comments were not a threat at all, like they're pretending it is, and that he's just buying right-wing talking points. He was saying the price they will pay is a political price. Republicans will pay for putting them on the court, that they'll lose everything in the upcoming election, is what he meant. And I'm sure that's what he did mean. He's not an idiot. He's not going to threaten the lives of our Supreme Court justices, obviously. In case you weren't sure I was going with that word, there you go, I finished it for you. He's just saying that they will unleash major grassroots movements. That's what I believe he is saying. Definitely watch your language, be respectful of the court, but also they got to be respectful of our, how do you say it in English? Human rights. Like autonomy over our own damn bodies and the ability to decide for ourselves. And I would like soon there to be a female Chief Justice of the Supreme Court as well. And please, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, may you live long and prosper. Holy balls, that is important. She's old. Bernie's old. Biden's old. Dinosaur old, really. Dinosaur DNA has been found. Scientists have spotted cellular structures and a substance that behaves like DNA in cartilage more than 70 million years old. More than 70 million years ago in what is now Montana, and barely more evolved. It's a mean Montana joke. I've been there. They're very nice people. But I mean, does it surprise anybody that if dinosaurs were going to have been in one place, it was Montana? That's all I'm saying. I love the good people. Billings is a great place to hang out and do comedy shows. The plant-eating Hadrosaur Hypocrosaurus Stebingeri. Stebingeri? See what I'm saying? What happened, buddy? Why are you freaking out? You hear about dinosaurs, you get freaked out, huh? Oh, Henry flipped right there. Good Lord. Why are you so upset? They're not coming back yet. Their DNA was found. They're not attacking us. Don't worry, buddy. My God. Never seen him react like that to anything. You okay, pal? My dog is in my lap, for those of you listening to the audio only version of this podcast. But, am I making my point or not? That they make science names way too nerdy and inaccessible for most of us. Why's the dinosaur got to be called Hadrosaur Hypocrosaurus Stebingeri? Why can't it just be like Dave, or that's the Dave species of the Dave genus of dinosaur. I don't know the word for it. You know, the Dave subsection of dinosaurs. Type of dinosaur? You can call it whatever you want. T-Rex would have been good. You don't have to have Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's one of the more accessible ones. That's probably why the ones that we know are just the ones with the simplest names. Tyrannosaurus Rex, Brontosaurus, Pterodactyl. It's about all we can handle. And there's tons of other dinosaurs and they just have like fucked up ass names. So nobody really popularizes them because you can't have kids' toys like, hey, hand me the Hypocarosaurus Hadrosaurus Stebingeri. I mean, what child could pull that off? Not a young Donald Trump, I guarantee you that. Give me the fat one with the spikes, okay? Just give me the fat one with the spikes. The study, published last week in the Nature Science Review in a story covered by National Geographic, to take a close look at 2 juvenile skull bones from the hadrosaur Hypocrosaurus stebingeri spice, a plant-eating dinosaur that lived in what is now Montana about 75 million to 100 million years ago. Inside these tiny fossils, researchers can see what appear to be cells, some frozen in the process of dividing. Others contain darkened balls, I'm going to leave that alone, that just look like nuclei, the cellular structures that store DNA. And one cell even seems to contain dark, tangled coils that resemble chromosomes. Can you believe that? The condensed strands of proteins and DNA that form during cell division are your chromosomes. And they might have some of them here, or just a little part of it. Isn't this exciting? I know what you're wondering at home. Braintrust, you're thinking, does this mean that we can now sequence dinosaur DNA? It does not mean that. Wait, what? I know. The story is not a full discovery. Not all scientific breakthroughs are home runs. The researchers haven't yet tried to extract the DNA from the cells. So they don't know for sure if it's unaltered DNA or some kind of fossil byproduct. I don't know why they're waiting, why they had to write the story and announce this publicly and get the whole world excited about having discovered dinosaur DNA if they haven't even tried to extract it yet. What if it's like someone spilled some egg on top of it? Like, I'm talking like hard-boiled egg. It gets very messy and they were eating it on top of a skull. Maybe some fell in there. Quote, this research is still very much in its infancy. Yeah, seems. But the possibilities are absolutely thrilling if we suspend our disbelief. Well, yeah, anything's thrilling if you suspend your disbelief. I'm the only podcast host that can fly. Isn't that thrilling if you suspend your disbelief? I mean, people say dumb shit all the time, even scientists. The quote continues, dig into the data. Here we go again, nerds. And obviously you got to dig into the data, but maybe do that and then solve this shit quicker. Bring them dinos back. I want to ride in the back of a dinosaur. Who don't? Quote continues, and continue to test and refine our ideas about molecular preservation in fossils, said David Evans, a paleontologist from the Royal Ontario Museum who likes to put people to sleep when he speaks. These slides with little bits of dinosaur skulls sat in obscurity for over 2 decades at the Museum of the Rockies, until Belliul, then a PhD student at the museum, pulled out these items in 2010 to study the small joints that hold the skulls together. Then looking at thin sections of it under a microscope, Balliol, because no name can be normal, especially when it comes to science. Notice small circular fragment configurations in one of theirs supraoccipital bone, supraoccipital bone, supraoccipital Perry bones in the back of the skull. I freaked out a little bit, she said, moving away from the microscope, thinking, moving back to the microscope. I was like, oh my God, that can't be. There's nothing else they can be. It can be. Balliol was so stunned by what she'd seen, she kept it to herself for a couple of days. That's shady. You discovered dinosaur DNA? You're keeping quiet? Was she considering selling it on the black market? Yo, I got some dinosaur skull pieces with intact DNA. They're like, get the fuck out of here, fool. With your little rocks in your hand. That's the way they would try to probably respond to the black market. I have a particular image of the black market, and I picture it being very street drug selling scene. Get the hell out of here, fool! You know? But eventually she told her dear friend, Mary Schweitzer, North Carolina State University paleontologist, one of her former PhD students, was visiting the museum. Schweitzer, of course, we all know, is a pioneer in molecular paleontology. If you don't know, now you know. Previously published evidence before this that dinosaur fossils could preserve cells. Well, Schweitzer looked at these fossils and agreed that Balliol had found something extraordinary. For the next decade, Balliol worked with Horner, Schweitzer. If you don't know Horner, please look him or her up. I have no idea who that is. And their other colleagues to study the fossils, treating the endeavor as a long-term side project. Well, in 2014, they got a little confidence boost, the article continued, when a Swedish group announced that it had found a 180 million year old fern with fossilized nuclei and chromosomes. Quote, when that fern came out, that fern paper, came out, I was like, wow, okay, we're not crazy, Balaul says. That's just a fern. You got dinosaur DNA. You're worried about old plants? Hey, we still got ferns. You want fern DNA? Go to a fern in anyone's office. Go watch a Zach Galifianakis web video and extract you some DNA. Okay, boo? You got dinosaur DNA. We don't got dinosaurs. Zach Galifianakis' web series is not called Between Two Dinosaurs. Why are you impressed by fern DNA? Fern DNA should be impressed by your dinosaur DNA. Have a little more dinosaur DNA related confidence. So we'll stay tuned. But hopefully they can figure out what they can do with this stuff. And maybe someday we can get a piece frozen somewhere of dinosaur DNA that can actually reconstitute dinosaurs. And we can live that dream. Let's bring dinosaurs back. That could be my next campaign slogan. Make dinosaurs here again. I would like to see dinosaurs roaming around, for once not running for president of the United States. On that note, what do you say we go to our interview, don't you think? Sorry this is so long, but we had quite a lot to cover. Great conversation with Tone Bell coming up now. This will be a long episode in general because this was already long, and that's even longer. Skip around whatever you want to do whenever you listen. I don't care. Free country, free world. Free fingers on your forward and rewind buttons. The interview with Tone Bell is brought to you by Baseball Cap Storage Bag. Nobody has ever been able to properly solve how to store hats in a way where you can still see what's on them and not in a ghetto way in like some plasticky thing that obviously is gonna smell weird when you open it and wrinkle your hats in a way you're not happy with. I have a hat box in my closet. A loose box, no top, with tons of hats in it, kind of floating on each other. Soft style. It's worked well for centuries for me. Carmel wants to replace it with these hat bags she bought on Amazon without telling me, and I appreciate the effort. It's so sweet of her. But how do I break the news that I think my system's pretty good? I got my own problems. Tone Bell, actor, stand-up comedian, doing amazing things, blowing up right now, and a fascinating, funny man, a great conversation, a dear friend of mine. And what comes up in this talk is also my kazoo playing. And I don't know how much we've talked about it on the podcast, but some of you may know that I'm one of the great kazoo players we have in our country. I'm one of the most well-known kazoo players, mostly because most people don't play the kazoo. So I don't have a ton of competition. But just because I do talk about it coming up, I'll play you over to the interview now with a little kazoo rendition of Careless Whisper.